Welcome to the Mandala Podcast, where we help you feel your best body, mind, and soul. Well, welcome back to the show. Once again, I'm Charlie McDermott, and we have Bree Jaworski here, fortunately, with us as always. Bree, how you doing?
I'm awesome, Charlie. How are you?
I'm doing great, and man, I keep thinking back to your previous podcasts, and yeah, I learned so much. I know I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Uh, Thrilled to be a part of this, number one, and I know our listeners are getting a lot from your expertise, and that leads us to what we're going to get into today. I know in the last episode you shared, hey, if you have a challenge, if you're looking for some kind of general advice, to email you or social media, provide the comments and the information, and then you can be kind enough to help. And
Well, I don't know about kind enough, but I'm gonna try. I tend to be a little bit harsh on this subject, so as you'll probably see,
well,
but we're
you
gonna give
know,
it a try anyway.
I think harsh is important, and but you deliver it in such a kind way.
I
Um,
try.
but boy, oh boy, you got some responses here.
Yeah.
So and for our listeners who are also watching, just to give you an idea. I mean, I've got a lot to cover here. So grab a cup of coffee or whatever, kind
Yeah.
of just relax and listen. And I'm going to start with right at the top of the page here. Brie, are you ready?
I'm ready. Go
All
ahead.
right. So the question is, have you ever regretted ending a relationship? I'm not talking like the next day or a week or two later. I mean, years down the line. Have you ever broken up with someone and consider it a mistake long after the fact? If so, how have you dealt with that feeling and how does it affect your current relationship?
Okay, so first of all, I think that typically people break up for a reason, right? It's very few and far between where you're just like, I'm totally blindsided. I didn't see that coming. There were no like issues. There are reasons why we break up. So, um, for example, I am in no way, holier than thou. I've definitely had relationships where in the past where, we've broken up and gotten back together and I've played that whole like, run around with like the back and forth and it just never works out. Like I challenge someone to give me an example of somebody that they know
Hmm.
that has broken up with somebody and then, they've gotten back together and then lived happily ever after. Like it just doesn't happen that often. So I'm not going to say it couldn't happen, but like, whatever was wrong in the relationship, whatever the issue was, needs to have made a fundamental change in that particular area in order for the relationship to be successful. So I mean, to answer the question, I personally never have regretted, maybe in the shorter term, but and it's not to say that I didn't miss the person or that kind of thing. And I've definitely in my past broken up with people that I was still in love with. And that's always really, really difficult. But generally speaking, like, no, I think that you break up for a reason and there are better suited people out there for you. You just have to sometimes make space for the right person to come in. And so if you're constantly going back and forth and like doing that whole yo-yo with someone, you're not giving the universe a space to place the right person in your path. So I think you're doing a
Yeah.
disservice to yourself with that back and forth.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. I also wondered as you were sharing there, how much of it is as time passes, you kind of forget, some of the issues or they aren't as
Yes.
raw, right? And
Yes, we do
yeah,
tend to do that. We kind of romanticize things. So
yeah,
as time goes on, you start to, when you first break up, you're very focused on the negative parts, but as time goes on, you start to kind of let those things go and you miss them and you miss the good times and we sort of put those to the forefront, but the reality of is the whatever the problem was is not gone and it's
yeah,
probably still there and probably even worse at this point because now there's been a major hemorrhage in the relationship to begin with. So I mean the reconciliation process for that, although not impossible, I think it's difficult and it's
yeah,
probably best at that point to just move on.
yeah. Like you said, make room for someone else. Yeah,
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 because I really do feel like there is a person out there for everyone
yeah,
and if you I just feel like if you have all these problems all the time, it's just you're almost trying to fit like a square peg into a round hole. Like, it's just you want it to work out, but it's just not meant to be, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. Next one. This looks like an 18-year-old female says, was catfished by my ex-boyfriend's, who was 22 years old, girlfriend, 21, and sent nudes. We broke up a few months ago after dating for a year. And if I'm being honest, I texted him 2 or 3 times, even though I wasn't getting any responses and I knew he had a girlfriend. A few weeks ago, he finally responded saying he broke up with his girlfriend and wanted to get back together with me. It wasn't until after I sent him nude photos I found it was his girlfriend texting me from his account the whole time. Holy moly.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
said if I keep texting her boyfriend, she'll post them. I don't plan on texting him anymore, but I'm still worried about what she might do with them. And so she goes on to say, I didn't immediately respond with nudes. We texted for a while before she asked for them.
Ay, ay, ay. Okay,
Yeah.
people, boys and girls, listen here. Do not send nudes. I don't care who they're to. We've got to get away from doing this. Once they are out of your possession, there is no telling whose possession they can end up in. Because even if the new girlfriend didn't steal the phone for that moment, the ex-boyfriend still could have shown her, could have sent them to her, could have sent them to his friends. Like, we don't know where these things are going to end up. Like, just
Yeah.
don't do it.
It
Just it's
opens
just
up
a bad
Pandora's
idea all the way
box.
around.
Yeah.
And the second point that I have to that is if you broke up, like, and you knew he had a girlfriend, like, don't text him. Don't insert yourself. Like, you're making yourself her enemy. You know, of course, like, now she has a reason to dislike
Yeah.
you, and now she has
Yeah.
ammunition on you as well. So, like, don't give her extra reasons not to like you, you know?
Yeah.
Just stay in your lane, mind your business, wish them the best, and move on to the person that you're actually supposed to be with, because clearly it's not this guy.
Goes back to making room for, right, that
Yes,
right
right.
person
This is
and
not the right person for you, so
not
just
wasting time on, yeah. Oy.
exactly. It's a waste
Alright.
of time. And now, with possible, like, horrible side effects now from
Yeah.
these nudes that you sent, so
Yeah.
just don't send nudes.
And
That's
just the disruption in your life. It's probably like this dark cloud hovering over you,
terribly
wondering when that.
stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Who wants that? Like, we have
Yeah.
enough stress in life. We don't need stuff like that looming over our heads.
Alright. Next one. My boyfriend and I had plenty of ups and downs because of his lying and eventually got to a place where he would stop lying with me specifically. However, weird as that may sound, I just want to ask if this is even possible. It's been months, and while he still could very well be lying to me, I do see that he has tons of love for me. He didn't really try to make anything up to me after all the lying happened, but he admitted he just doesn't know how to. We also had to focus on his issues and why he lies and everything so that he's been the main focus. He also doesn't really make an effort to see me or call me or anything. He seems like he can spend a large amount of time not seeing me, yet still claims he really loves me. So I'm confused. It's different than wanting alone time because he was very into hookups and dating before. Which brings me to my next issue. His hookups were
Oh,
not surprisingly the biggest lies. I was wrong to expect exclusivity. However, he was telling me while we were talking that we were exclusive and that he only wants slash talks to me. Meanwhile, he was hooking up with other people. Am I wrong for being mad over this? It feels bad to think you're special only to find out that you aren't, but maybe it's my fault for so easily believing him then or when I barely knew him. I guess my central question is how, if I ever can I trust him again? I know this is a case of figuring out if I can get over it so I don't resent him, but I'm unsure of where to even start. This whole thing is super confusing and it's hard to leave because I really do love him and I'm used to committed relationships where we work together, we work things out.
okay. Let's break this down. This is a long
Yeah.
one. Okay, first of all, the only not lying to you thing, I'm not buying it. Like, that's very highly doubtful on my end. If somebody says like, "Oh yeah, I lie to other people all the time. I don't do it with you though." Like, I'm not buying it. Secondly, the person wrote, "I can tell he has tons of love for me." But then she went on to say, "He doesn't make time for me. He didn't try to make up for his previous lies. Doesn't make an effort. He told me we were exclusive, cheated." I don't know. Those to me are not signs of love. So maybe there are things that she left out. I'm sure that there are some things, but based on what she wrote, those don't sound like signs of love to me.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
fact, they're like huge red flags. If I had my red flag with me right now, I'd be waving it like crazy. Um, you know, is she mad to be is it wrong for her to be mad at him? The short answer is no, of course. Like, you're entitled to whatever feelings you want. And can she trust him again? I wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't sound like he has the best track record of being honest. And again, like saying, "Oh, I lie to all these other people, but I don't do it with you." It's typically not something that someone can just turn off. It's a habit. Lying becomes a habit. And when you're really used to lying to people, it tends to kind of, flow into every relationship that you have on a minor or major level, depending. But
Yeah.
um I think what we have to take away from this is we show people how to treat us. And basically, she's shown him that it's okay. And I'm not victim blaming her. I'm just saying, like, you have to love yourself enough to know that this is not okay. And we have to not allow people to treat us in this way because what she's shown him is that it's okay to not spend time with her. It's okay to lie about things. Only if she's being truthful to her, that's fine. I think if we love ourselves and we accept nothing less than pure love, and that's the way that we treat others, and that's what we accept for ourselves, um, that's where people step up and they stop treating us like garbage. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that none of the things that he's doing sound okay. And yeah, it sounds like she needs to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. Seems like a recurring theme here.
Yeah.
I'm
I
picking up
told
a
you I
common
probably
thread.
wasn't going to be that kind about this, but but to
Next.
be honest, I have a very I just think that we should not put up with people's crap. And I
Yeah.
don't think trauma is an excuse. People say, like, "Oh, he has a lot of trauma, he's childhood trauma." Okay, well, that sucks. And I feel bad for him for that happening. But take care of your stuff before you try to start this whole other thing with somebody else and,
Mm.
dump your stuff on them. Everybody's responsible as an adult to take care of whatever trauma that they may have experienced as a younger person. Like, it's definitely not their fault that that happened to them, but it is their responsibility as an adult to take accountability for the things that they have power to change and to not dump them on somebody else and ruin their lives.
Mm.
You can't be a victim and then victimize other people under the umbrella term of I'm a victim of trauma.
Yeah.
That just doesn't
Yeah.
work for me.
Yeah. All right. Next one. I can't get over the detail here in what has been submitted. I'm impressed.
Yeah, very detailed.
So this next one, this is coming from a 37-year-old male who is with his girlfriend, 36 years old. They've been together since high school. After college, she broke up with him to travel to Europe for a year, followed by 6 months in Australia and 3 months in North Africa. When she got back, she told him that she had suffered from health problems and wanted to see him. One thing led to another, and he says, we went steady. I learned 2 years into our relationship that our health problems were infertility, PCOS. Although I wanted children and a large family, I loved her and thought this was my lot in life. We tried for many years, but she never got pregnant. I even paid for 3 rounds of IVF. Last summer, she met up with a friend, and that a friend with she had traveled. Her friend wanted her to travel to Brazil. Due to COVID, my finances took a hit, and Sam, my girlfriend, never had a steady job, only temporary and project-based work. She saved up for a full year. In May, we found out that Sam was pregnant against all odds. Considering that we struggled so hard to get pregnant and that she had suffered a miscarriage while traveling in Europe, I thought she would be elated, like me, for the prospects of having a child. She, however, told me that she wanted an abortion and she had her mind set up on traveling in South America as she might not get another chance. She was packed and moved in with her mother as she felt that I tried to talk her out of it. Her friend had offered her a place in her new apartment, but needed to get out of her old lease. In June, I learned she had gone through with the procedure. 1st of August, she was supposed to move in with a friend, except her friend had signed a contract with her new boyfriend, instead leaving Sam without a place to live. For almost a month now, she has tried to convince me that we need to get back together. I'm conflicted as to what to do. I've spent most of my life with her. I still hate her for not listening to me, but I'm also a 37-year-old and can't start over with someone new. I really want children, and that is no longer a possibility with Sam. I don't know what to do. I just need someone to give me words of encouragement one way or another. Holy cow.
Oh boy. Well,
Yeah.
my heart hurts for this person
Yeah.
because I mean, just like the thought of going through 3 rounds of IVF and then just like miraculously getting pregnant and then having an abortion, like talk about an emotional roller coaster for that person.
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
It sounds like these 2 people are not only on different pages, but they're on like completely different pages of different books. Like, and it makes me sad that he said, like, he's 37, he can't,
Yeah.
move on at this point, he can't start over. Like, you absolutely
Yeah.
can, and you should try to
Yeah.
start over with someone else who wants similar things and a similar path in life that you do. Like, if you really want children, consider that to be kind of a non-negotiable for dating. Like, not right this second, but the person needs to be open to having children. Like, that needs, if you're dating someone, just if they already have kids and don't want any more kids, or they just don't want children to begin with, like, that's perfectly fine. But then, like, that's not the person for you.
Mm.
Um, it doesn't have to be right away or anything, but just to know that if that's something that's really important to you, like, not to let that go, because, men don't have this biological clock that they have to adhere to. Like, men can and do have children later in life. And, I don't know the ins and outs of how he feels about that, but it's definitely possible. Like, this is not over for him.
Right.
And as far as her wanting to move back in, I would say don't do it. It sounds like she's just put
Uh,
herself in a bad position, but she's a big girl.
yep.
She can
Yeah.
find a place to live that doesn't include getting you back on this roller coaster with her.
Mm.
So that would be my advice for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you
Yeah.
big
That was a
time.
heavy one. That's a hard
Yeah.
one. That
Ah.
hurts me to hear.
Yeah, all the sacrifices, all those
Mhm.
years and man.
Yeah, it's a lot of time, energy,
Yeah.
money,
Yeah.
just a lot of emotional ups and downs. Like, it's
Yeah.
kind of tragic, but your
Yeah.
life is not over and you have plenty of opportunities left out there as long
Yeah.
as you move past this person, I think.
Mm. All right. Next one. My boyfriend is telling me not to tell anyone we're dating. I'm not sure if I should be concerned or not. For some context, we've been dating for about 4 months now, and he recently decided to tell me that he doesn't want anyone to know we were dating. He also started ignoring me for days on end. He also said that I'm not allowed to tell anyone that we were dating, but he's allowed to tell people that we were dating. Don't know why he's acting like this. Should I confront him or just ignore it? I'm kind of lost. She goes on to say, I'm trying to confront him currently, but I don't know how to approach the subject. Any tips?
I'm going to try to say this as nicely as possible. If your boyfriend tells you that he doesn't want you telling anyone that you're dating, that's not your boyfriend. I mean, that's kind of as blunt as I can be, but you know, he should be, especially at 4 months, he should be so excited telling everybody,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
will listen about this new relationship, this new person he met, how excited he is. It's just not, it's for so early on, it's just not
Yeah.
a good sign. And again, like, people treat us the way we allow them to treat us. So by you allowing him to make that determination for you, that, like, it's almost like your relationship is like shrouded in like shame, and like it's just
Yeah.
not a good
That's yeah.
thing. I would say Get rid of them.
Run, run. All right.
Yeah.
Here's a good one. Here's a good one. How do I stop being a clingy girlfriend?
Oh, okay. So I think being clingy is part of feeling insecure. So
Mm,
I think to stop being clingy, you need to fall in love with yourself, with your own life. Like, you need to put so much love and energy and intention into yourself that you're no longer looking for anyone to fill that void for you. And confidence in and of itself is really sexy, and being confident in who you are and what you bring to the table is vital. So I feel like that's part of it. And also another thing that people tend to do a lot in new relationship is they kind of like cling on to this person and they forget everything else in their life. So they ditch their friends, they don't have hobbies of their own anymore, and so don't do that. It's good to have
mm,
a balance of things. You don't wanna put all of your energy and effort into this person, and then, yes, you will come off as very clingy and needy, and whereas if you are fulfilled in yourself and you have friends and you have hobbies and you have things that light you up and you're passionate about, you'll have your own stuff to do. Like, the thing about being clingy is it's almost like you're looking for that person to, like, fill a void. So if you fill the void yourself, you won't have any reason to need someone else to do that for you. So that's my advice for
awesome.
that.
Awesome. And I would think that applies to, clingy boyfriends too.
Yeah,
That works for
absolutely,
both?
anyone. Because yeah, and people can fall into that trap, but,
Yeah,
if
yeah,
if you're worried about that, then do some work on yourself and just
yeah,
love yourself. Put some of that energy and effort that you're putting into that other person back into yourself, and you'll be a lot less clingy.
yeah. Alright, next one. What does it mean when your boyfriend knows you're locked out but doesn't let you in? We had an argument and I said I needed to step out for a minute. I went to smoke a cigarette, then I accidentally locked myself out and asked him to open the door, and he hasn't responded in hours. How should I handle this when and if he eventually answers and realizes I'm not there? We live together and I just moved in with him. Or does he realize it and just doesn't want me in there? Yikes.
Okay, so first off, he realizes.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's easier and, like, easier to digest and, like,
It's
accept.
like we always wanna give the benefit of the doubt, right, to
You
our
want to,
detriment.
but, like, he
Like,
realizes, like,
yeah,
100%, he knows you're out there. What makes me nervous about this one is there are some, like, very covert, sneaky, abusive
oh,
things that can
yeah,
happen, and I would categorize this as a possibility for one,
yeah,
because he's exerting power and control over her by allowing her to sit outside knowing that she's out there, that she's locked out. Um,
right.
Abuse is all about power and control. So this is a
Wow.
small thing that's not like life shattering, but it's a small thing that I guarantee will lead to other things. So it's like if
Yeah,
she allows this to happen, then next time he'll be like, okay, well, she let that happen. So I'm going to push it a little bit further. So, and that's why in like physically abusive cases that I've worked with, they don't start off as physically abusive. They start off with stuff like this. And then it gradually gets a
wow.
little bit worse. They start, throwing things, or they start knocking things off the wall or punching holes in doors, and the physical abuse gets, gradually worse and worse and worse until it's directed at you. So this is a huge red flag to me. It might not sound that bad on the outside, like, oh, being locked outside, but it's the power and control issue that he's exerting that worries
Mm.
me. And he
The
realizes it.
beginning of worse
Yes,
encounters to come. Yeah, wow.
that would be my guess, is this is
Yeah.
just the tip of the iceberg for this relationship.
Alright, speaking of red flags, the question is this a red flag? I had the best date with a former coworker last night. After our date, we ended up coming to my place. We were watching We were watching a movie, cuddling, and he was like, "I just wanna let you know that when I like someone, I stop entertaining other women." And I'm like, "Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to focus on one person and not to be talking to a bunch of others." Uh, and he's like, if you go on a date, it's hard for me to talk in 20-something slang. How am I doing?
I
If you
understand.
go so if you go on a date with someone else, like, next weekend, that would be it for me. And I'm like I love the use of like. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, I think it's the first date, or I think the first date is too soon to be like, 'Okay, don't talk it to anyone else.'" And he sat up and distanced himself from me. He looked bothered and visibly upset. He's like, "I'm just saying, I put a lot of effort into one person, and if we can't agree on that, then I don't know." And I stayed quiet and was kind of scared. And to be honest, so he started kind of backpedaling, and he was like, "But maybe you're right. The first date is too soon, but maybe the second date we can agree. So is this weird?" Like, no, I added that like at the end.
Like, this is really weird. No, it really is. This is weird. First of all, like no, I just said, like,
We're
oh,
gonna be
what
saying
have
that
we
now for the
started
rest of
here,
the
Charlie? What have we
day.
started? Okay. For him to say on a first date that he doesn't wanna date anyone else, he's gonna date I hear this sometimes from my clients. "Oh,
Mm,
he told me he's gonna delete his dating apps," and that's fine. Do whatever you want. You're an adult. However, where it gets sketchy for me is him basically telling her like, giving her an ultimatum on the first date of, like, what to do. Why that worries me is because, like, if he'll say that on day
yeah,
1, what is he
yeah,
gonna say way later down the road, you know? Like, again, it's very reminiscent of that power and control struggle that I was talking about
controlling.
just
Yeah,
before. The other part that gets me about this one is she used the word "scared," and
yeah.
I just feel like we need to listen to our
Mm,
intuition, you know, like, we have the feeling of being scared for a reason. It's a built-in safety mechanism, and we it's our job to listen to it. So if
yeah,
you feel scared on a date, you need to listen to that built-in alarm and get out of there because it's just there should be no point at in any relationship where that particular bell should be going off, where you feel
yeah.
scared of your partner. That is just a huge red flag to me. So
Mm,
that's a no-go.
good.
All of these are
Yeah,
no-goes for me.
that's good. That's good. Well, believe it or not, we got through them all.
We did.
Yeah, boy, oh boy, there's something. Yeah, again, I learned it, and I know this is very helpful for your listeners. So I guess my question, Bree, is for those who are listening, go, wow, I'd love to get Bree's thoughts on my scenario. What's the best way for them to, send it to you?
The best way is to email it. So it's the MandalaPodcast at gmail.com. So you can submit your questions. I would love to read them, answer them on the podcast. I am kind of harsh, but I feel like sometimes people need someone who is a third party, not related to the
Yeah.
person or the incident, to give them a little bit of dose of reality. And I can't unknow what I know. I can't
Mm,
unsee what I've seen. I've worked with domestic violence, I've worked with couples, I still do, so I have to be real and I have to be honest. So today, none of these relationships sound healthy to me. I wish somebody would write in and let us know something positive, but so far, not so good.
well, it's just the beginning, so let's
Yes,
give
I
us some
still have
time.
hope.
But, the even better part about all this is whether, it's one of these individuals or others listening that are in a similar situation, they can learn and make decisions going forward that put them in a better position. And
I hope so.
yeah,
I hope so.
yeah,
It's hard, and again, I don't want anyone to think that I, just popped out the womb knowing everything about relationships, like, that's not true. I've had a lot of trial and error myself. I've had a
mm,
lot of failed relationships. I'm in a really fantastic, healthy, wonderful marriage now, but trust me, that was not always the case. So,
mm,
if anything, learn from my mistakes, if nothing else. So,
mm, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing, Bree. Thanks for your help, and we'll get back together real soon in the next episode.
all right, awesome.
Thanks for listening to the Mandala Podcast. To learn more about Mandala counseling and health coaching, go to www.mandala-counseling.com. That's www.mandala, counseling, counseling.com, or call 239-360-1983, or visit us on Facebook or Instagram.